Okay, in this demonstration, we're going to be using the HumanIK auto rigger to rig this character. This character is from a company called Mixamo, but I went in and modified her legs so that you could see what was going on because she had baggy pants on. So now you have like the volleyball player version. Oh, skater girl. All right. So the first thing we want to do is select the object, and you can see if I turn on the mesh that there's no joints. If you look over here, um, there's three meshes. There's the two eyes. Well, actually, there's five. And then there's her main mesh. And then there's a couple. She has glasses and headphones, which are hidden. But we won't worry about that. We're only going to concern ourselves with the main mesh. And then we'll the eyes and the other stuff will be attached later. So select this and then come over here to HumanIK. So the easiest way to do this is just to hit the quick rig tool. Then you have to, with your character selected, add your character. We've created a quick rig character. And then if we do step by step, if I did one click, it would just do it. But there's a problem in that when you quick rig something, it doesn't rig the hands. HumanIK for some reason doesn't like doing hands. So they've traditionally been added on separately. So I'm going to hit step by step here, and it's going to give me options for going through this instead of doing it all in one time, which it will do very well, and it's great for a background character. But if you need her to use her hands or you want to put joints in her hair, then it's a different story. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is create guides. So here's the guide setup. If I hit create guides, oops, sorry, got to add the geometry. There's Skater Girl. And go create an update. And so it's going to put these guides all over her. And these are where the joints are going to be added. These are like where you want this to bend. And it does a okay job sometimes. It didn't do a great job here. So we can go in and just select these and move them to where they're supposed to be. And then if I hit this button here, it sends that information, this one, to the other side. So now, for instance, it's moved the right arm to where I just moved the left arm. And if I move the hand here to where it's supposed to be, look at that in the top view. Make sure you look at a top view and a front view. Okay. Then I can send that information to the other side, and you see that that one updated. It's a super handy feature. Okay, her arm, I don't want it to bend there. I'd much rather it to bend here. Oops. And I can move them independently, or I can just send it to the other side and it should follow up. All right. Yeah, all this other stuff is looking okay. The one thing I might want to do, because it's pretty good with this IK, but the knees are here. I might want to do that whole thing where we talked about before, where I'm kind of, and by the way, I'm selecting two at a time. Had I clicked on it and moved it, I would have only met one, but I selected in a right view. I can select both of them at the same time and move them. So I want that when the joints are built, I want it to go forward and then come back. And then the same with the arms. I want it to go back to the elbow. So I want to move that back just a tiny bit. Send the right hand to the same place. And so the bone is built with that angle so that the IK knows which way to bend. Like I said, this is an auto rigging program. It kind of does a good job about it, but just to make sure, like I've not seen it ever fail. How about that? All right, so now we've created our guides. That's what these things are. So now we're going to go to the next step and create our skeleton. And I just, the guides are in place. We're all good. I can create an update and it's going to generate a couple skeletons, a control skeleton and the actual skeleton. So the yellow one is the control skeleton, and the actual skeleton is this one. So if I turn this off, and I select it, this is a HUD, by the way, that allows you to grab joints and things. So if I select it, there you can see is the actual skeleton. That's the controller skeleton that the controls are attached to, and those are the controls. And this is how you turn them on and off, so you can see them different ways. Honestly, if you're going to grab and move things, you do it from here. But this character is not skinned yet, so we don't want to do any of that. What I do want to do is just have the main skeleton showing. Go to 5, you can see it, there it is. And so now, with just the main skeleton showing, right, just this is all I have clicked. I'm going to go in and manually create some hands for her. This is a little bit of a chore, but not too bad. If you double click on the skeleton, the joint building tool, you'll see there's a button here called projected centering. And if it's not ticked, tick it, because that'll take the joints and put them in the middle of the mesh, which is super helpful for us. So I'm actually also going to go in here and do make my joint size a little bit smaller so I can see what I'm doing in the hands. Great. All right, I'll start with the thumb. I just click down like I normally do. Hit enter, and you can see it does a really nice job of putting it in the middle of the finger. So then I'm going to do that again here. I'm just going to do 3 joints for this demo. You can do 4. I think if you go in here, it's 4. We'll talk about that later. And then when you're done doing that one finger, you can hit enter, or I like selecting a different tool and then coming back to it. It's a pretty good way of making sure that you're not, because if you accidentally have it selected again, it's going to start from here and go back to here, and it's easy to miss that that's happened. So if I go to a top view and zoom in, I can now make micro adjustments to these joints. They're more or less in the middle. I just got to kind of move them around a little bit. Honestly, they would probably grab really well. Move that one here. Okay, so those are all in the hand pretty good. Now we need to duplicate this to the other side. I'm going to select, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create, I'll make it easy on myself. So these eventually will get parented to this, but I'm going to use a mirror tool to get them onto the other side. And if I do this, it'll create a mirror of this bone on the other side. So I'm going to create a new bone here that we're just going to use temporarily. And I'm going to select all these, select that, parent these to that for the time being. And then I'm going to come up here and use this tool. So if you're in the rigging mode, you can go to skeleton and you go mirror joints and make sure you're in XY, or if you're oriented a different way, try doing the other ones, but I'm in XY. So if I hit apply, you can see now that it's created another set of hands over here, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. However, I don't want another node between the wrist and the whole hand. I just want the fingers coming off of the wrist object. So I'm going to come over here, go edit, unparent, and then I can delete that one. And then all I need to do is take these here and feed them back into the main wrist. And now this controls all that. Great. Go back to the original side. It doesn't do it automatically for you. I wish it did. There is no mirror delete all that functionality. One more time. You. Added on parent, otherwise known as Shift P. Shift P, remember that. Great. Okay. So let's also put some hair things in here so we can move her hair. Not going to go crazy, but I would like the ability to move these around when she runs or something. And with that, we can go skeleton mirror joint. It pops it to the other side. Select both of those and parent it to the head bone. I just want to make sure in the top view that they're actually in her hair, and they're not. She's got horns, not hair. So we just need to move them back so that they're within that geometry. Great. All right, so let's take a look. Everything's great with our regular skeleton. To turn back on all of our stuff. And I don't think you do have to turn back on all your stuff, but I do. And then we can hit the last button, which is skinning. And then it has made all this control stuff for us. So if I can turn off all this stuff, so you don't even need to see it, you'll see that it doesn't turn off the hands and stuff because we haven't really integrated the fingers or the hands into this system. I mean, they work, so you can animate them if you want. They may need a little weight painting apparently, but they work pretty well. But they don't hide. When I hide the joints here, they don't hide with it because they're not in the system. However, they are in this system. So if I turn on the controller objects, which are these things, you can see that the hand, they now move with the hand just perfectly. And if I rotate the head, they move with the head. Okay. So now this is called the HUD, and this is HumanIK's way of selecting objects and stuff. And so I can select, say I want to rotate the arm. I just have to come over here to the heads up display or the HUD and grab it, and then I can move the arm. Or if I want to move the waist, I can come here and it moves the waist. It's also automatically put IK on the legs. I can select these round things here, or I can select the little balls here. He doesn't have toes either. The toes are there. The toes are part of the system. Yeah, it was easy to include the toes, but God forbid we put hands in there. And then the head. Might need a little weight painting on that as well. But for the most part, this is auto rigging. So if you were to go into the weight painting, you would just select this and go up here, double click, and then pick the bones that correspond to the joints that correspond to it. And none of these joints are named, so it's a little tougher when you do auto rigging than when you do normal rigging, when I force you to name everything correctly. That is HumanIK.